Hi and welcome to another tutorial video. In this tutorial video I'm going to be showing you how to calculate the file size of bitmap images and we're going to consider the effect of increasing and decreasing the color depth on file size and increasing and decreasing the number of pixels on file size. Okay, so first of all, to calculate the file size in bits of a bitmap image, you need to use the following formula. So the file size in bits is found by multiplying the width in pixels by the height in pixels by the color depth. So let's just go for an example using the image over here, in this bitmap image here. So the file size is going to be equal to the width in pixels. Well, we've got 4 pixels along the width, so we're going to write 4 down there and then multiply that by the height in pixels, well that's 4 as well, and multiply that by 1. So the answer we get there is 4 times 4 is 16, multiplied by 1 is 16 bits. So that's how we calculate the file size in bits. But what about the file size in bytes? Well, all we need to do to calculate the file size in bytes is calculate the file size in bits and divide it by 8. So with this example, we calculate the file size in bits, which is 16, and then the file size in bytes will be found by doing 16 divided by 8. So if you do 16 divided by 8, you should get 2 bytes, and that's the size of our image. So that's how you calculate the size of bitmap files. So now I'm going to take a look at the effect of increasing the number of pixels on file size and the effect of increasing color depth on file size. So you need to be able to consider the advantages and disadvantages of changing the color depth and the number of pixels used in the bitmap. So increasing the color depth will increase the size of a file and it will therefore increase the amount of storage space that a bitmap file will take up in a secondary storage. So that's a disadvantage. So increasing the color depth will increase file size. However, increasing the color depth will increase the number of colors which can be used in the bitmap, which will make the image look more realistic up to a certain point. The reason I say up to a certain point is that most people will struggle to tell the difference between an image using an 8-bit color depth and an image using a 32-bit color depth. Of course a 32-bit color depth is going to take up a lot more space in secondary storage. So increasing the color depth can make the image look more realistic, but you have to consider whether increasing the color depth is going to make a big enough difference for it to be worth the extra size of file that you're going to have to store. So let's take a look at the number of pixels then. So as with the color depth, increasing the number of pixels used in a bitmap is going to increase the file size. However, increasing the number of pixels used in an image also allows a more faithful reproduction of a real-life object. For example, if the image is of a real-life object. However, it's important to consider whether it will be appropriate to use more pixels, because if the display you plan to show the image on has a lower resolution than the image itself, the additional pixels used is not going to have any effect on how the image looks on the display that it's being shown on. So increasing the pixel count can produce a more realistic image because you're getting more detail into the bitmap file. But you have to consider whether that detail is actually going to be used when displaying the image. Okay, so that's the end of this tutorial video on the file sizes of bitmaps. I hope you found it useful, and thanks for watching.